Try it right now. Run your fingers along your own ribs, the soft spot under your arm, the sole of your foot. Nothing happens. No laughter, no squirm, no helpless collapse. Now imagine someone else doing the exact same thing, in the exact same place, with the exact same pressure. You already flinched, didn't you? The thought alone was enough. Same fingers, same skin, same nerves firing in the same order. And yet one version makes you scream with laughter and the other makes you feel almost nothing at all. Most people assume it's just familiarity. You know your own hands, so there's no surprise. But the real answer is far stranger. The reason you can't tickle yourself has almost nothing to do with your skin, and almost everything to do with a small, ancient piece of your brain that spends every waking second predicting the future. Let's go back to the beginning. There are actually two kinds of tickling, and scientists gave them names more than a century ago. In 1897, two psychologists named G. Stanley Hall and Arthur Allen split the sensation in two. The first they called nismesis. That's the light, feathery, itch-like tickle. A bug crawling across your arm. A single hair brushing your neck. It doesn't make you laugh. It makes you want to swat, scratch, escape. The second they called gargalesis. That's the heavy one. The laughing kind. Fingers digging into ribs. The frantic, breathless kind of tickle that makes a child shriek and thrash. And here's the first strange fact. You can give yourself nismesis, brush your own arm lightly, and you'll feel that faint itch. But gargalesis, the laughing kind, that one refuses to work when the hands are your own. Why would your body draw such a sharp line between two versions of the same touch? To answer that, you have to meet the part of your brain doing the blocking. It sits at the very back of your skull, tucked beneath everything else, and it's called the cerebellum. For a long time, scientists thought its only job was balance and coordination. Walking, reaching, catching a ball. But it turns out the cerebellum is doing something far more profound. It is a prediction machine. Every single time you move, it quietly guesses what that movement is about to feel like, a fraction of a second before it happens. Think about what that means. When you decide to touch your own knee, your brain doesn't just send the command to your hand. It also sends a copy of that command somewhere else. Scientists call this an efference copy. It's like your brain forwarding itself a memo. The memo says, in effect, we are about to feel a touch on the knee from the left hand at this speed, with this pressure. And by the time your fingers actually land, your brain has already rehearsed the whole thing. So when the touch arrives exactly as predicted, your brain shrugs. It says, yes, I knew that was coming, and it turns the sensation down. This is called sensory attenuation. Your own touch gets muted, dampened, filed away as unimportant. And a tickle that gets muted is no tickle at all. This isn't just a nice theory. In 1998, a neuroscientist named Sarah-Jayne Blakemore, working with Daniel Wolpert and Chris Frith at University College London, decided to test it directly. They put people inside a brain scanner and had them experience a soft touch on the palm of their hand. Sometimes a machine delivered the touch. Sometimes the person delivered it to themselves. The physical sensation was identical, but the brain lit up completely differently. When the touch was self-produced, a region called the somatosensory cortex went quieter. The brain was actively turning the volume down on a touch it had predicted. But Blakemore's team went further, and this is where it gets beautiful. They built a little robotic device. You moved one hand, and after a short delay, a robot arm reproduced that exact movement onto your other hand. Same motion, same pressure, just yours, but delayed. And here's what happened. When the delay was tiny, the touch still felt dull, still self-produced. But as they stretched the delay longer, adding just a fraction of a second, people began to report that it felt more and more ticklish. The longer the gap between prediction and sensation, the more the brain's forecast fell out of sync with reality. And the moment prediction and reality no longer matched, the tickle came flooding back. Sit with that for a second. A tickle is not really about being touched. A tickle is about being surprised. It's the sensation of your brain's prediction being wrong. When you tickle yourself, the prediction is perfect, so there's no surprise, so there's nothing to laugh about. When someone else tickles you, their fingers move in ways your brain can't forecast. Your prediction fails. And that failure, that tiny gap between what you expected and what you got, is the whole feeling. So the question becomes deeper. Why would a failed prediction feel like anything at all? Why laughter? Why the squirming? Why did evolution wire an unpredictable touch to a burst of helpless giggling? Here, the story leaves the brain scanner and goes back much, much further, millions of years further. Because tickling isn't just a human quirk. Charles Darwin noticed this. In his 1872 book on the expression of emotions, he pointed out that great apes, when tickled, make a panting open-mouthed sound that looks unmistakably like laughter. Tickle a young chimpanzee, and it does something almost exactly like a child. Later research confirmed it. Gorillas, orangutans, even rats respond to tickling. The rats, it turns out, produce tiny ultrasonic chirps that scientists have come to interpret as something close to laughter, too high for human ears to hear. If chimps and rats and humans all share this response, then tickling is not a cultural game we invented. It's ancient. It was here long before language, long before fire, long before you, which means it must have done something useful. So what? One of the leading ideas comes from thinking about where you're ticklish. Notice it. The ribs, the neck, the armpits, the belly, the inner thigh, the soles of the feet. Now notice something else. These are almost exactly the parts of the body you would instinctively protect in a fight. The soft, vulnerable, undefended places. The spots where a predator's teeth or a rival's blow would do the most damage. Your most ticklish zones are your most defenseless zones. Under this view, tickling may be a kind of training, a game of mock combat. When a parent tickles a child, or one young ape tickles another, the body is rehearsing something serious under the cover of play. It's learning to guard its vulnerable spots, to twist away, to react fast to an unpredictable touch near a soft target. The laughter is the signal that says, this is safe, this is play. We are not really fighting. It turns a survival drill into a bonding ritual between two bodies that trust each other. And that word, trust, matters more than you'd think, because you cannot really tickle someone who is terrified of you. The same digging fingers that produce shrieks of laughter from a laughing child produce only panic and pain from a frightened one. Tickling only works inside safety. It's an experience that lives on the exact border between threat and trust, between attack and affection. Have you ever noticed that you laugh while being tickled even when you desperately want it to stop? That the laughter isn't really happiness at all? That unsettling detail caught the attention of a psychologist named Christine Harris at the University of California. She wanted to know whether tickle laughter was truly the same as the laughter of joy or something else wearing its mask. In one of her studies, she had people tickled by what they believed was a machine rather than a person. If tickle laughter were purely social, purely about the warm connection between two people, a cold machine shouldn't produce it. But people laughed anyway. The response fired even when they thought no human was involved, which suggests the laughter is closer to a reflex than an emotion, something older than joy. A hardwired reaction bolted deep into the body, not chosen, not felt, just triggered. So now look at what you've learned. The tickle is a prediction error generated by an ancient prediction machine at the base of your skull. Its target is the most vulnerable map of your body. Its response is a reflex disguised as laughter, one you share with apes and rats and creatures separated from you by tens of millions of years, and it can only be unlocked by another being because only another being can move in ways your brain cannot foresee. Which brings us back to that small piece of the brain, the cerebellum, and the thing it's really doing. Because it doesn't only predict tickles. That same prediction system is running underneath everything you do. When you lift a cup, it predicts the weight, which is why a cup that turns out to be empty makes your hand jerk upward in surprise. When you speak, it predicts the sound of your own voice, which is why your recorded voice sounds so alien, so wrong, so unlike you. Every moment of your life, this quiet machine is generating a forecast of reality a half second before reality arrives. And most of the time, it's right. That's the strange gift of it. You move through the world barely noticing your own touch, your own weight, your own voice, because your brain has already predicted all of it and turned the volume down. You are, in a sense, numb to yourself by design. The whole point of the system is to make the predictable disappear, so you can notice the one thing that matters, the unexpected, the thing you didn't see coming, the other, because that's what a tickle really is. It is the feeling of another person's presence breaking through your brain's forecast of the world. It is proof, written into your nervous system, that you cannot fully predict someone else. Two people can share the same skin, the same fingers, the same pressure, and produce two completely different worlds. And the difference between them is the entire mystery of being oneself among others. So try it again. Run your fingers along your own ribs. Still nothing. Your brain saw it coming, the way it sees everything you do coming, quietly erasing you from your own experience so you'll notice everyone else. You were never going to be able to tickle yourself. The one touch you can never predict is the one that isn't yours.